Thanks, everybody. I've known Bob for 41 years, and we've been good friends for a long time. It's special, and I feel that his friendship is very special. Before I get started, I would like to offer a special shout out to my wife, Joni, who is easily the best editor I ever worked with and has co-authored a couple books with me. I'd also like to say thank you to Joe and Betty Ann Cassidy, Mike Flynn from Blue Star, Bob and Elaine Ryan, Scott and Suzanne Shanker, and Pat Plunkett, who were kind enough to make the trip down here. Along those lines, I would like to thank Dave Gorin and the organization and all of the volunteers that have been here and worked so hard this weekend to make this such a success. I'd like to thank the national award winners, the Hall of Famers, people like Tom Boswell, who is here in person, and Woody Durham, who is here in spirit. It means a lot to have known both of them. They've made a huge impact on my life. I'd like to thank all the national winners, Kevin Harlan, who is here, and Leonard Hamilton, who has been a personal friend of mine for at least 25 years. It's great to see them both. I'd like to thank all the state winners. This night's about you. You bring out the best in journalism, and you should be honored for it. And the students who are the future of this sport and of the business in general. A longtime friend of mine, Leslie Visser, once told me that if you get in this business, you'll never become a millionaire or a billionaire, but you'll lead a billionaire's life. And she's right, because I did. I worked for the Philadelphia Daily News and the New York Daily News for 41 years. I've covered 46 Final Fours, covered 35 national championships in football, and I wouldn't trade any of it for anything. I feel like I've been a witness to history, particularly in this area, which is probably why I love coming down to Carolina so often. I was there in 1974. I flew all night to get to Greensboro to see North Carolina State and UCLA and see David Thompson play Bill Walton in a game that would determine the national championship in the national semifinals. I was there when Michael Jordan made a shot in the final moments to give Dean Smith his first national championship. I was there the next year when Lorenzo Charles made a shot at the buzzer to give NC State an unlikely national championship victory over Houston's Phi Slamma Jamma. I spent the year in 1992 in Kentucky writing a book, and frankly had my heart broken when Christian Laettner made a shot in the last second to beat Kentucky in overtime in the regional finals. I've gotten a chance to see people like Tim Duncan, the late Len Bias. These are people that make huge impressions, and probably why the ACC still is the premier league in all of college basketball. I started going to watch college basketball when I was 10 years old. Somebody tonight asked me what the first game I ever saw was. And I think it was probably LaSalle versus Creighton when Paul Silas was at Creighton down at the Palestra, but I was 10 years old, and I used to go 3 times a week. They used to hold double headers at the Palestra. Used to walk up to the corner, get the bus to 69th Street, meet all my friends from St. Bernard's CYO, take the subway down to the University of Pennsylvania, and go to the Palestra, which frankly is my second home. Bob is absolutely right about that. It is a fabled building, and it has produced a lot of fabled games. I was very, very lucky when I was growing up. It was the golden era of the Big Five. We had Hall of Fame coaches like Coach Litwack and Jack Ramsey coaching a bunch of local kids, and it was Philadelphia versus the world. And all 5 teams, Villanova, St. Joe's, LaSalle, Temple, and Penn, had their moments during that period. I also was very lucky. I consider myself privileged to have worked in the golden era of print journalism, from the 70s through the 80s through the 90s. When I was at both daily newses, the money was rolling. It was like they opened the bank vaults because we went everywhere, and every sports editor wanted to have a dateline. I talked to Dan Shaughnessy last night, and I said, and we got on the subject of the Ryder Cup, and when it was held in Boston in 1999, he said 22 credentials for the Globe. And Bob Ryan, I asked him the same question about the first time that the Patriots went to the Super Bowl. 22 credentials. This was huge. I mean, sports had a huge impact on everyone's life, and newspapers had a huge impact on everyone's life. Times have changed, but you always have the memories. Back in 2014, the paper I worked for that basically let me go anywhere I wanted for 21 years decided they were going to get rid of college coverage altogether, and I got laid off. Took me about a month. I was in shock, I have to tell you. But then I was able to reinvent myself with the help of a good friend, Mike Flynn, who is the CEO of Blue Star Media and has gone out of his way to allow me to cover international basketball involving U.S. teams all over the world. I've gotten a chance to go to Rio with them, to the Olympics. I've been to Dubai, to Prague, to Barcelona, to the Bahamas. It's been a totally new chapter in my life, but I will always remember the friendships that I made in newspapers, the priceless experience I have, and that's why this award means so much to me. When I look in the program and I see so many legends who are in the Hall of Fame and realize that I'm joining an exclusive club, I can only be humbled and say thank you to everyone involved in the selection committee, and thank you for everyone who supports good journalism in this country. Thank you.